Welcome back. In this lecture, we'll show you how to read data from a database into a Polars data frame. In the last lecture, we demonstrated how to write a Polars data frame to a SQLite database using a URI. If you recall, we actually created a new SQLite database in the process. We'll be using that same database here in this video. If you didn't create the database with us in the last lecture, it's important that you go back and do that now. If you have the new database ready, we can get started. There are two ways for us to read data from a database. We can do so using a connection object or by using a uniform resource identifier. We'll show you both methods. First, we'll utilize the read database function. This option requires us to create a connection object. Since we're connecting to a SQLite database, we can use the built-in SQLite 3 Python library to create our connection. We'll start by declaring a new variable called con, and then type SQLite3.connect. Within the connect function, we'll define the path to our new database. Now that we have our connection, we need to construct a query. To keep it simple, we'll write a basic select query that grabs all records from the call center table. With our query and connection ready, we can now create our data frame using the read database function. We'll define our data variable and call the read database function. Within the function, we'll pass our connection and query into their respective arguments. When using a connection object, it's a good idea to close the connection after the transaction is complete, so we'll add a line of code that closes our SQLite connection. When we run the cell, we get back all the records from our call center table. Now that you know how to query from a database using a connection object, let's walk through the second option available in Polars. In the last lecture, we used a uniform resource identifier, or URI, to write data into our new database. We can use that same URI to read data. Let's start by specifying our uniform resource identifier in the URI variable. Next, we'll define our data variable and call the read database URI function. Within the function, we'll pass the URI variable into the URI argument, and then we'll reuse the query from the last code block. When we run the code, Polars will once again connect to our database and render the data frame containing data from the call center table. So now you know two different ways to query data from a database into a Polars data frame. For data engineers, this is just the beginning. Once data is pulled from a database, it's often manipulated, aggregated, and transformed to meet the needs at the end of the data pipeline. We'll cover more of these topics in future lectures. For now, you can celebrate your newfound skills. Okay, that's all we have for this video. We'll catch up with you soon.